Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is to set up a working folder, that is a directory or a folder in which I'm going to create my web files. So I go straight to my folder browser. Um, let's create a folder in here. Okay, developers. You can create this folder anywhere you want on your machine. Drive C, desktop, my document, wherever you want on your laptop or your PC, create a folder for holding your document. So I'm creating a folder called web series. Okay, so this is going to be the working directory for our web applications, and then everything we will develop will be in here. As I said earlier on, a website is just a folder with files in it, and there's a software that rounds these files or read these files and it translate them into pages that we see. So we have our working folder. So we're going to create our first web app. Let's call it web app one. Web app one, which is going to be a folder, just as a folder web app 01. Yeah, yeah, that's okay. Web app 01. Okay, so after creating your folder, then next thing to do is to get an ID or a file editor or a code editor. Well, what is going to happen is that the website is number of files that work together to generate the views that we see. So we need to create those files. That is HTML files, JavaScript files, and CSS files. However, creating these files, you need some sort of editor. That is another software that will help you edit the files quickly or easily by giving you helps when you type, or what we call Intellisense. So as you type, the editor will be helping you with keywords, keywords, yeah, definitions, and also all right. So let's go straight to my favorite editor. We open up to Google, and then oh, it's already open. Okay, this is okay. So we open up to Google, then my favorite editor, Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio Code. Okay, that's it here. um all right, so code.visualstudio.com. I open it up. Yeah, that's it. So you download for your device. Thanks for downloading VS Code for Windows. Okay, so there's I'm downloading the Windows version. Depending on the machine or the device you are using, Mac or Linux, you download. So you wait for it after it's complete. After it's completed, you run to install it. Okay, so after you have successfully installed the Visual Studio Code, we go back to the folder we created, um, the web app 01. You right click and look for open with code. Open with code. Okay, so that will open the folder in the editor. Okay, so it came up for me. All right, I don't need these guys here for now. Okay, so straight to the point, this folder is going to contain the pages that will run our web app, the HTML pages, the CSS pages, and then JavaScript pages. If you have been following my lessons, our introduction to web development, I explained briefly what an HTML is, what a JavaScript is, and CSS, and why I'm mentioning them today. They actually work together to give you the wonderful, beautiful website that we see out there. That is exactly what we're going to do. So we start by creating the first page. Now, for every website, there are a number of pages in there. However, there is a first page that when you open up the web app or the website, it pops up to you. That is the first page you see when you open any website or web app. We call the landing page or the home page. Now, how does the system or the computer know that I have 15 pages in the application? However, open up this first. Okay, there is a standard for telling the system which page should be open as the landing page or the home page. With HTML, normally it looks for a page called index, just like your index finger. So index.html. Why .html? It is the extension for HTML files. Every file has a specific extension. For example, if you remember when you were using Microsoft Office Word, it used to be .doc, and later they added X to it, so it became docx. That is for Microsoft Office Word. Then that of PowerPoint also used to be PPT, and later they added X to it, and it's now PPTX. An extension is a way of telling what kind of file it is to the computer, so that when the computer is reading, by looking at the file name and its extension, it knows the resources that it's supposed to prepare to read the file for you. So this is an HTML file. It's very empty. And then it is time for us to do what we need to do in here. We are going to create our first web app. All right, so if you have been following my lessons, you will remember that in our introductory to web development, I made mention of what an HTML is briefly. I introduced JavaScript and then CSS. If you remember, I told you that the HTML constitutes the structure of the web page, and the content and everything, that is the brick and the mortar. Then the CSS comes in as the decorating features or the painting of the web page, where the JavaScript comes in as the automator that is controls movement and other stuff on the page. So if you haven't watched that video, I encourage you go back, get that, watch it, and then you understand this lesson better. Okay, so straight away we start creating our HTML document. An HTML document always begins by declaring the type of document the file contains, which is declared as doc type, then space HTML. It starts by left angle, exclamation, doc type, then you add the HTML. Finally, you bring the right angle. If you realize, or if you notice, you realize that the moment I type the left angle, exclamation, something pop up, a list of stuff pop up. Let's see again. So we start again, left angle, right. There's a list of options popping up for me. Why? Because the ID or the editor has something we call Intellisense, which tries to understand what you are doing and gives you assistance or help. Now, I have defined the document type as I've created the file as .html. So the Intellisense will concentrate on what an HTML document will contain. I began by opening the left angle, and I get a list of keywords popping up. These are all tags that or keywords that we use in HTML document. So this is what I needed. I just pressed enter on my keyboard and it completed the whole statement for me. So if you have a good ID like myself, I do right now, you're not really going to struggle typing the whole element. The moment you begin typing, the Intellisense capability of the ID is going to assist you through. Before this lesson ends, I'm going to show you a small software that is an open source software. There's a paid version, but the open source version is also cool. You can begin with as a newbie, and as you advance, you can opt for the paid version to get more intelligence and insight in your code. All right, so back to our lesson. We are creating an HTML page. We have defined a document type, which is doc type space HTML, and then enclosing opening angle exclamation, then closing or left right angle. Now it's time to define the HTML itself. So HTML, oh, I like my ID. It closed it for me. If you remember from our introductory lesson, we said an HTML begins with an HTML tag and ends with a closing HTML tag. And we said that a beginning tag or an opening tag is represented as left angle, that is here, the keyword, and then right angle for the beginning or the opening tag, and then the closing tag, almost the same thing with an introduction of a forward slash. So we have the left angle, forward slash, the keyword, and then right angle. That is almost for all tags, except some special ones that we will soon get to them. For now, an element consists of two tags, the opening tag and the closing tag, and then a content within. The content itself may also be an element or multiples of elements. So this is an HTML element which begins with an HTML tag and ends with an HTML tag. Then its content is also a list of elements, which are the head and then the body. These are the two main elements within the HTML file or document. The head contains things that controls the body, just like the human body, the human being. The head contains the brain and other stuff that controls the rest of the whole system. HTML, as I likened to the human body in our previous lesson, also has a head and a body. Within the head, we have an important element called title. The title of the HTML document is that part of the HTML that appears in the browser's title bar. So when you visit a website, let's check out on Google. Okay, so this is Google's homepage. You can see there's a title here called New Tab. New Tab. Back to our code. All right, so the new tab is actually what is in the HTML title page. Let me format my code very well. Okay, what did I do? I formatted the code by adding indent to subsequent element. So when an element is within another element, I add an indentation to it so it doesn't align or to the left. Why? Is for readability and easy editing. And it has become a standard or a rule that when you are creating an HTML page, you indent it properly. Some programming languages, the indentation is a big deal. You miss it, you miss it. Like Python, though one of the most simplest language you can learn, it pays critical attention to the indent you give. For now, don't worry, just give an indent to any subsequent element within another element. If you realize the HTML body, the HTML tag is in line with the definition because it is not within it. They are all siblings. However, the head and the body are within the HTML. So I move them a step right. Now, the head and the body are on the same left line because they are siblings. They are not parent child. That is, one is not within the other. However, they are both siblings within the HTML. Looking at the title, it's clear that it is a child of the header. Now, when I hovered on the title, you could see a whole description popping up. That is a good idea with a good intelligence. There is a small software I installed to give me this awesome intelligence. I told you before this lesson ends, I'll show you that software so that you can also install and have a good coding exercise. All right, so that is the title. Other stuff come in the header, but for now, let's put just the title there. And then within the body, we're going to have the content of the body, which could also be other elements. Let's say H1. Okay, hello world. Don't worry, this phrase will change you everywhere in your life as a programmer. You often come to it. So let it be your friend for now. All right, so from our introductory lesson, we said that the body of an HTML is actually what we see when you open a web browser or any web app or website. What we actually see or interact with is what is within the body. With that said, and with this done, we can have a look at what we have done so far. And we are sure to have new tab at the title, then hello world in the body. Oh, no, we won't use Google Star. Let's put my name there. You can also put your name there, Jojo and Joe. Great. You can also put your name there and have it appear in the title bar. Okay, so how do we get our web page in the browser? For now, I'm going to show you a simple way to see what you have done so far. In our next lesson, we will set it up properly. Do not worry for now. So for now, we go to the folder where we created our project, and because we saved it as .html, the computer has identified it as a web page and has assigned my default browser's icon to it. That is, when I double click it right now, it's going to open in my default browser, which is Microsoft Edge. If yours is Firefox, definitely the icon will be a Firefox icon. If you are using Google Chrome or whatever browser is your default, it will pick that icon. So don't worry if you are not seeing the same thing. What you need to do is just double click for the browser to open it for you. All right, voila. We have hello world in here. We have my name printed beautifully up here. This is our first web page. Simple and straightforward. I hope you wouldn't forget how we came by this. We first created a folder for holding our web application. So it's going to be a series of web applications. So I named it web series. Then our first web app, I named it web app 01. Right click and open with VS Code, the software we installed for editing our code. Then we came in and I said every HTML file is saved as .html and it begins with a definition of a document type HTML. Then the HTML tag element itself, which contains two main elements, the head and the body. The head contains another important element called title, which appears at the title bar of the browser. I mean, the content in the title appears in the title bar of the browser. Then in the body, whatever you want to tell the world, you put it in there. You remember from our previous lesson when we spoke about the HTML file, we made mention of various elements, and H1 is one of the HTML elements. The number of them, they will come up as we proceed in our lesson. Okay, so hope you have enjoyed today's lesson. It's a very simple and straightforward. Next time when we meet, we'll build up on this. So don't forget to come back to watch the next video. Thank you. Hope you enjoyed and hope you're learning something new. Have a good day.